Hi, thank you so much for rolling out your mat and joining me for a yoga session today. My name's Tony, and I'm presenting this to you for Yoga for Change. This will be about a 30 to 40 minute session to help you find centering and balance. First, if you can just sit comfortably on your mat in a comfortable position, I'll ask you to sit firmly with your sit bones on the mat. You'll feel the sensation of your bones touching the mat, feeling that solid foundation. Start tuning into your own breath cycle. Just notice the inhalation and exhalation as you're sitting on your mat. Noticing your rib cage opening, your chest fall and rise with breath, the movement of your abs. So not really changing anything yet, but just noticing the quality of your breath, noticing the sensation of these movements within your own body. And if you'd like to come to eyes closed or a soft gaze, this will help you to center inward and find balance. I'll invite you to constrict slightly your throat and make an audible sound with your breath. This ocean sound. And you'll be inhaling and exhaling through your nose. This ocean sound that your breath makes, it's much like when you fog up a mirror, only your mouth is closed. But that constriction in your throat will give you that sound. It'll help to connect you to your breath and your breath cycle to movement throughout the practice. It helps you to let go of all worry and concern of things that's happened or what might happen after the practice. It helps you to just focus on the current moment. And slowly start to increase the depth of your inhale and the length of your exhale. Noticing more movement in your body, your chest moving perhaps a little bit more, the rib cage opening a little bit more. Inhale, lifting your crown towards the sky, stretching out your neck, tucking your chin. Exhale, dropping your shoulders away from your ears, creating space between your ears and shoulders. Inhale again, lengthening your neck, bones, and muscles. Exhale, dropping your shoulders away from your ears. Next, we'll inhale and just circle sweep your arms overhead. Hands unite. And then allow your hands to slowly float downward as you rotate your hands and wrists, getting some movement, waking up your joints. And then when we get to about shoulder height, you can reverse direction and slowly come down, bringing your hands to the mats. We'll circle sweep our arms up again, hands uniting. And then lean over to the left, bringing your left hand down to the mat next to your hips. Your right hand will reach long, and if you want, you can gaze up towards that bicep. Feeling your rib cage on the right side opening, side body stretch here. We'll inhale back to center, left hand meets the right. Exhale, other side. Right hand comes down to mat, and your left hand reaches long over your head. Again, you can gaze up to your bicep, and just feeling a different sensation here. Opening up your side body on the left side now. Inhale comes back to center, hands unite. Exhale, let your hands float down back to the mat. And then start to walk your hands out in front of you. You'll feel a nice stretch on your low back here, reaching long, maybe walking your fingertips a little bit further out, getting a nice stretch in your shoulders. You'll also feel a sensation between your shoulder blades. And if you'd like to, you can rest your forehead on the mat or just in that direction. One more full breath here. Inhale and exhale. Start walking your hands back up to your seated position. Firmly plant both your hands on the mat, finding your solid foundation again. Inhale, circle sweep your right arm up over your head, grasping the side of your head just above your ear and just pulling slowly and gently right ear to right shoulder. Inhale, exhale, and release. Now we're going to just do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, left arm comes up, wrapping around just above your ear. Exhale, slowly bending your left ear to left shoulder, opening up your neck on this side. And we'll unwind here, allowing that left hand to float back down to the mat. And if you circle sweep your legs back behind you, coming up into a tabletop position, there's a solid foundation here with shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. This is the solid foundation for some of our tabletop positions. We'll settle back into our feet, planting your hands firmly on the mat, pushing your hips back into your heels for child's posture. And if you'd like to rest your forehead on the mat, this is a great rest position that you can come to at any point during the practice. If there's something that's too intense for you, you can always come back to this rest position. It's your practice and your decision. Now, if you stay here for one more full breath, and then coming back up into your tabletop position, just bring some awareness in that right foot. Lifting that right foot off the mat, sending it long on the mat, pointing your toes towards the mat, and then swinging that foot over past your left foot. And then you can take your gaze over your left shoulder, and you'll be gazing towards your toes that are planted on the mat. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, release it back down to the mat. Now bringing awareness into your left heel. Inhale, bringing that left foot up, sending the heel long on the mat, pointing your toes towards the mat. And exhale, sending it over past your right foot, tapping your toes on the ground, and then looking over your right shoulder. Now, in these postures, you'll be able to feel an openness in your hip and the outer side of your leg. Inhale back to center, dropping that knee back down to meet the other. We're going to inhale and lift our right hand and arm up in the air. Exhale, we're going to send it through. It's called threading the needle, reaching long underneath that left hand and then settling down on your shoulder. And you can walk your left hand up to the top of your mat to find some solid position here. And you can actually play around with this shape and finding different sensations. You can stay here in this shape, or you can lift your left hand up into the air, bringing it towards the sky. Whatever serves you best right now, whatever's in your practice. And we can bring that hand back down just under your shoulder, unwinding, and then we'll counter by bringing our arms back up and then letting it settle down. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, lifting your left hand up into the sky. Exhale, sending it through and resting on your shoulder. Again, you can walk your fingers up to the top of the mat, or you can send your fingers towards the ceiling. And in this position, we're going to have most of our weight on the arm and shoulder. If you feel a lot of weight on your head or on your face, then you're going to want to rock back a little bit to where more of the weight's on your shoulder. And how you can tell is if you're able to lift your head pretty easily, then that's a good sign. Go ahead and push into the mat with your right hand and then countering. And coming back to our tabletop position. We can go ahead and sweep our legs out in front of us, sitting towards the center of our mat, grasping our knees or shins, and slowly floating down to a position where you're lying on your back. Bring your knees into your chest, hugging your knees into your chest. And if you'd like to rock back and forth just to get a little massage, you should be able to feel massage on your low back. And another option here, if you want to play around with different movements of your knees, you can draw circles on the ceiling with your knees, and then reverse direction if you are drawing circles. But this just gives us a sensation on our low back. And we squeeze our knees into our chest one more time. And then release your left foot down to the mat. And inhale, lifting your right foot towards the ceiling. Exhale, bending your knee, allowing your foot to float back down. Inhale, lifting that foot back up. And when your foot does come up, you can bring your toes back towards your face. One movement per breath here. Inhaling, foot comes up. Exhaling, foot comes down. We'll bring the foot up one more time, and we can start doing circles on the ceiling with our toes. Rotating out our ankles, increasing the synovial fluid at that joint. And then we can reverse direction. And we can pause for a moment, take an inhale. Exhale, drop that foot and let it rest on your left knee into this figure 4 position. On an inhale, we can lift our left foot off the mat, bringing that left knee and our foot towards the left shoulder. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, perhaps just having your foot staying on the mat gives you a sensation throughout your hip, and that's more than fine. And you can play around with this shape, this figure 4 shape. But if you can bring your knee to your left chest, if that's in your practice, you'll feel a sensation on the outside of your right hip. And you'll feel the sensation into the glute muscles. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, allowing it to float down. Your right foot meets your left. And inhale, lifting your left foot to the air. Exhale, bending the knee. Again, one movement per breath. Inhale brings your foot up. Exhale lets it fall. We can do 2 more here. And then back down. This time lifting your foot up on an inhale, and we leave it there, starting to in circles with our toes on the ceiling. And then reverse stretching. An option here is you can always grasp your fingertips behind your thigh. That helps stabilize your leg. And then take an inhale here. Exhale, allowing that foot to come down and rest on your right shoulder, right knee. Inhale, lift your right foot off the mat. And squeeze that knee into your chest. Again, if this is too much sensation in your left hip, you can always leave your foot down on the mat. But if you can, reach through the figure 4 with your left hand and around the right side of your shin with your right hand. Gently pulling that knee into your chest. Remember to breathe and pay attention to the breath cycle. I'll invite you to come back into your ocean sound if you've lost that. And then we'll just drop your right foot back down to the mat and your left foot meets. And walk your feet out a little bit further, almost to the width of the mat. And we can start windshield wipering our knees back and forth, getting a sensation in the low back and the hips, getting a gentle twist here. And we'll meet back in the center. Inhale, lifting your knees up towards your chest again. And we'll start rocking from head to toe this time, lengthwise on your mat. Giving a massage on your back from the entire length of the spine. And use that momentum to come all the way back up into a seated position. Find yourself in the middle of the mat and send your feet long on the mat here. Coming into a spinal twist, lift your right knee up towards the air, planting your right foot next to left knee. Swing your right hand slowly out behind you and planting it just behind your hip, kind of like a kickstand. Inhale brings your left hand up in the air. Exhale, twisting over to the right. Inhale, lifting your gaze and your chest. Exhale, looking over your right shoulder. Now, if you're feeling any pain or binding in your mid or low back, then you'll probably want to come out of this position and just sit with more neutral. Deep inhale here. Exhale, start to unwind. And just come into the opposite direction for a little bit of a counter for just a second, and then we'll meet back in the center. Allow your right foot to float down, lifting your left foot up to meet your right knee. Again, the hand behind you, kind of like a kickstand, left hand to left hip, and you'll feel that's almost that third point of contact. You've got your sit bones, and you've got your kickstand here that really helps you to stay solid in this twist. Inhale, right arm comes up. Exhale, twist. And you can use your elbow on your knee to help guide yourself around. Inhale, lifting your shoulder and your gaze. Exhale, gazing over that left shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, unwind. And just a slight counter. And then we'll come back to that neutral position. Go ahead and bring your feet back up. But this time your soles meet and allow your knees to splay outward. I'm going to face the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So with your soles here in front of you, your feet in front of you, your soles together, and your knees kind of come down towards the mat. This is our bound angle position. Inhale, lift your chest and gaze. Exhale, we slowly start to hinge at the waist. And as you hinge, you want to keep your chest kind of forward. That way it keeps you from rounding out your back. We just want to protect our spine here, engage your core, sucking in our rib cage towards our spine, sucking in our navel towards our spine. Inhale. And as we exhale, we hinge at the waist, keeping our sit bones solid on the mat. And we can stay here and be in this shape for a few moments. Or if you want to change things up a little bit, you can always walk your hands out, kind of like we did before when we were in that seated, easy seat position. Perhaps bringing your forehead towards your toes. You'll feel a sensation stretching, opening up your inner thigh muscles. Walking your hands back up. And bringing your knees together. We can circle sweep our legs back behind us again, coming into that tabletop position. Finding our solid foundation here again with our shoulders over our wrists, hips over knees. Pushing into the mat. Feel your hands on the mat and let your knees hover. Holding this position for a full breath. One more inhale. Exhale, send your hips up into the air for our first down dog of the session. And you can, from this position, we'll have our hands firmly planted on the mat with our fingertips wide and bringing our hips high in the air. Start to bend one knee as you send the other heel to the mat. This is just referred to as walking out your dog. As you bend one knee, sending the other heel to the mat just a little bit further. You'll feel a sensation deep into your calf muscles, all the way up into the hamstrings. Inhale, both heels rise. Exhale, bend your knees and walk forward towards your hands into a forward fold. Now, if you want to hang here and just let your arms hang in a forward motion with a micro bend in your knees and your neck muscles loose, just allowing your head to hang heavy. Another option here is if you want to grasp each elbow with opposite hands for a ragdoll position. And perhaps swaying back and forth. Bending one knee slightly as you sway in the other direction. And we can pause in the middle. Inhale fully, bringing your head long on the mat, halfway lifting, bringing your hands to your shins or your thighs. Still a micro bend in the knees and engagement in the core. The crown comes long on the mat, bringing length to your neck bones. One more inhale here. Exhale, hinging forward, either touching the mat or coming back into the ragdoll or whatever version of a forward fold you have. We can inhale, bending our knees slightly, coming all the way up, rooting our feet into the mat for our tall mountain. Hands unite, and then they fall down to our heart center. Pause here for a couple of breaths, reminding you that your breath connects you to the current moment. If you'd like to soften your gaze or close your eyes and just feel your feet on the mat. With a micro bend in the knees, engagement in the calves and the quads and hamstrings, engagement in the core. You're solid on your mat, but then you find the balance, the feeling of your body in space, the feeling of your hands touched together, palms united, feeling your thumbs on your chest, tucking your chin slightly, lifting your crown to the sky, getting length in your neck. We're going to come into our mountain pose, bringing your shoulders up and back on an inhale. And then on exhale, we drop our shoulders away from our ears, allowing our hands to float down to side body, sparking our fingers to the mat. This is our mountain pose and our solid foundation for a lot of the standing postures. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, we're going to send our hands over to the left. Inhale comes back to center. Exhale, other side. This is our standing half moon posture. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, we're going to circle sweep our arms and hands down making a loose fist and just putting it in the small of your back, just above your hip. Inhale, letting your chest rise together, bringing your shoulders and elbows together. Exhale, we start leaning forward and hinging at the waist, bringing our arms wide, folding forward. If you can touch the mat or your ankle or your shin, wherever your hands end up. Inhale, we lift halfway, bringing our hands to our shin or our knees. Exhale, we fall forward. Inhale, we root our feet into the ground, rising all the way up to our tall mountain. Exhale, bringing our hands to heart center. We'll do 2 more of these, 1 movement per breath. Inhale, bringing our hands up to the air. Exhale, leaning to the left. Inhale, comes to center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, circle, sweeping our arms back around, loose fists in our low back. Inhale, chest comes up, gaze comes up, shining our heart towards the ceiling. Exhale, we fold, hinging at the waist. Inhale, we come up halfway. Exhale, we hinge. Inhale, root to rise, all the way to our tall mountain. Again, with a micro bend in our knees, soft knees. Inhale here. Exhale, we lean to the left, sitting our right hips to the right side of our mat. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, circle, sweeping our arms again. Loose fist in the low back. Inhale, lifting our chest, lifting our gaze. Exhale, we fold. Inhale for half lift. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, root to rise, all the way to our tall mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we pause to find balance and find centering again. If you would like to close your eyes or bringing your eyes to a soft gaze, paying attention to the quality of the sensation that you're feeling in your body with your movement and the openness and the stretching of the muscles and the movement and increased range of motion at the joints. All of these sensations help us to remind ourselves that we're coming to balance within our bodies. We will inhale, bringing our arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the waist. Inhale, we lift halfway. Exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, kicking our feet back into a high plank or a push-up position. Inhale here. Exhale, lowering our bodies all the way down to the mat. Inhale, we rock forward, coming into our upward dog. Our hands solidly here on the mat, our toes are pointed, our legs are engaged. Inhale here. Exhale, curling our toes under, pushing our hips back into down dog, just like we did before the beginning of our practice. We can walk out the dog here, sending one heel to the mat, bending the knee. Inhale, both heels rise. Exhale, bend our knees, walking forward into a forward fold. Inhale, we lift halfway. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, root to rise with soft knees up to our tall mountain. Exhale, hands come to our heart center. We're going to do 2 more of those. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, we lift halfway. Exhale, we fold, planting our hands. Feet come back, and we lower. Inhale for up dog. Exhale, curling our toes into down dog. Inhale, lifting our heels. Exhale, bend your knees, walking forward. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, folding. Inhale, root to rise. Tall mountain. Hands unite. And then comes to heart center. 1 more round. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, hands come down to mat. Feet come back. And we lower. Inhale, rocking forward for our up dog. Exhale, curling our toes under, pushing our hips back for down dog. Inhale, lifting our heels. Exhale, bending your knees, walking forward. Inhale for a half lift. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, root to rise. Back to our tall mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then we pause again, finding stillness. Finding that breath cycle. Noticing the quality of our breath. Also noticing if there's any changes in our breath cycle now from when we started. It's just witnessing the change, accepting the differences as they come. Finding balance with sensation on our bodies. And we're going to slow things down a little bit, kind of coming back down the mountain, so to speak. Inhale, our arms come up. Exhale, hinging at the waist, falling forward. We're going to stay here for a full breath. We've had a couple of different versions of our forward fold, whatever suits you in this time. Inhale for a half lift. Exhale, we fold, planting our hands, coming back to our high plank. Inhale here. Exhale, we lower all the way down to the mat. Coming all the way down, letting our chest settle on the mat, keeping our hands where they're at for now, uncurling our toes, and we zip our legs kind of together to where our toes are touching, our knees might even be touching. We're just going to come up into 3 different Cobra positions. Each time we do the Cobra, it'll come up a little higher. I'll explain that as we go. So having our hands firmly on the mat underneath our shoulders, gazing down. Inhale, we push into the mat, engaging our core, using our back muscles to lift our rib cage off the mat. Just the top part of our rib cage. Exhale, we fall forward. Inhale, we push into the mat, bringing our lower ribs off the mat this time. Exhale, we lower. Inhale, coming up just a little bit further if you can. Exhale, we lower. We'll go ahead and curl your toes up underneath. Inhale. Exhale, coming back into our tabletop, but only as a transition into our child's posture. Our knees can be close together, or if they're more comfortable, to be a little bit further apart, but our toes should be touching. Whatever's comfortable for you. We'll settle into the child's posture here, allowing our forehead to rest on the mat if you'd like to. A couple of options here. You can plant your hands firmly on the mat and just push into the mat, pushing your hips into your heels just a little bit further. Or you can take a more restorative approach to this position with just your head falling gently on the mat, your hands falling gently on the mat, and just settling and just resting. 2 more breath cycles here. We'll come back up into our tabletop position, swinging our feet around. Grasping our knees or our shins and slowly coming down onto our backs, hugging our knees into our chest. Allowing your feet to come back towards the bottom of your mat, creating an L shape with your legs here. The bottom of our legs, our shin bones will be parallel to the floor here. Take an inhale here. Exhale, allowing your feet to rotate out towards the right. Bring your hands out to a T position. So your hips should be stacked one on top of the other. And then you send your gaze over your left fingers. Fairly gentle spinal twist here. Inhale brings your knees back up in the air. Exhale, slowly allow them to float over to the left side. And then you bring your gaze over to your right fingers. Your hips should be stacked one over top of the other, engaging your core, protects your low back. And just allow yourself to melt on the mat, feeling the outside of your left leg and your left side body on the mat, the sensation there. The sensation of the twist. Inhale brings your knees back to center. And one more time, bringing your knees into chest. We're going to let our feet come down to the mat and then walk our feet long on the mat, coming into our final resting position. Just settling on the mat here. Finding the sensation of your entire body resting, letting go of all muscle control. And I'm guiding you through a body scan, starting at your toes, allowing your toes to float outward, right toes out to the right side of the mat, left toes to the left side of the mat, releasing all muscle control of your legs and your hips, feeling the sensation of your calves and your backside of your legs on the mat, letting go of all muscle control in your hips and your back, allowing your arms to just fall heavy on your mat next to side body, feeling your shoulders and your arms and your head melting heavy, allowing your bones and muscles to just fall heavy into the mat, letting gravity take a hold. And then bring your mind's awareness to your breath cycle again. Noticing that inhalation and exhalation. Finding the balance of the inhalation matching the exhalation. Within that breath cycle, you'll notice at the bottom of your exhale, there's a pause. That's where stillness and peace resides. Coming back to a centering focus within your own breath cycle, within your own body. This is a reminder that at any point during the day, on or off your mat, you can always come back to your breath cycle and find that calm stillness at the bottom of your breath. Finding balance and peace. A few more moments in this resting position. Slowly bring some movement in your toes and your fingers. Perhaps keeping your eyes closed. Slowly bringing your knees up and rolling over on your favorite side into a fetal position. You can rest your head on your hand or on a pillow. And in this fetal position, it just reminds us of our potential, our possibilities that lie before us. It's an illustration that we emerge from our practice a new person. The person that started the practice is somehow changed into something new. It's our opportunity for new beginnings, new balance in our lives as we emerge from our practice. Perhaps keeping your eyes closed or a gentle gaze, a soft gaze, pushing into the mat with that free hand, coming back into an easy seated position. Allowing our hands to rest on our thighs or our knees. Finding our solid foundation, finding balance between our sit bones on the mat. Inhale, bringing our arms overhead, palms unite. Exhale, bringing our hands folded, touching down to our heart center. Finding stillness once again. And thank you for joining me on the mat today. Thank you for rolling out your mat and joining me for practice. Thank you.